My dad fought fascist enemies on Omaha Beach, and he loved his country, but he detested flag wavers and show-offs. You know, he served his country, but until he was about 85, he rarely spoke about the war. Nearing his ninth inning, his dam burst, so to speak, and previously unheard stories flowed from his mouth, with a good deal of Forrest Gump personal history mixed in, including sharing a troop carrier with Ernest Hemingway, getting an autographed French franc from that author and war correspondent while crossing the English Channel. My dad stuffed that souvenir into his pocket before jumping into the icy, neck-deep water, and that franc remarkably survives to this day in a frame in my twin brother's house in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Ray Howell's heroism on that day and the days that followed merited a mention in Stephen Ambrose's D-Day, which he kept secret. I think Ray's sons have had many flaws, but being patriotic show-offs is not among them. Ray was a fascist. He was not a fascist. He was a racist and an anti-Semite for 95% of his life. He rarely used the N-word, but I heard plenty of words like wop, Jap, Heeb, wetback, Polak. Did you hear about the Polak who? Was the setup for many of his jokes. And he used those terms not in anger or hatred, but I don't know, maybe it was just the lexicon of the generation, how he grew up. Flashing back to his old age, this long-term Michigan man had been cared for by many African Americans during his 5-year health decline. And he developed friendships with black nurses and physical rehab folks along the way. They became people. Years after Omaha Beach, the old man had put his negative views of blacks in his rearview mirror, but the word Heeb still escaped from his mouth once in a while. When I moved from Michigan to Lancaster in 1999, I was buried in my new job. I was asked at that time, I'd only been on the job for a couple of weeks, and I was asked if I would fly to France with the old soldier, my mom, my older brother, and my sister. I said no. I was too busy. And Harry Chapin's Cat in the Cradle still rings in my ears. Ray was confined to a wheelchair during this second and final trip to Europe, but he was determined to find the grave of the Pennsylvania man who had saved his life, a guy he called his guardian angel, Philip Snyder, a Pennsylvania private who, it was said by Ray's Army buddies, looked like my dad's twin. You see, decades ago, Philip jumped into a foxhole on top of young Sergeant Howell, absorbing fatal shrapnel in his back, protecting my dad from more serious wounds. Snyder died instantly, with his face inches away from my dad's face. On the peaceful beaches in 1999, the Howell family, minus me, failed to find Philip's grave. But 3 months later, my older brother Russ, who was a retired cop with a nose for investigation, reached a French cemetery employee on the phone who found Snyder's grave. And he rubbed a pencil over with a sheet of paper to reveal the face of the gravestone. And that etching was mailed to Midland Road, Auburn, Michigan, 48611, where my mom, perhaps channeling All in the Family's Eat at the Bunker, opened the envelope and proclaimed, "Ray, your guardian angel was a Jew." Your guardian angel was a Jew. The Star of David on Philip's gravestone perhaps brought my dad one more step toward redemption. No Jews came to my dad's funeral a few years later, but 5 or 6 black healthcare providers did, sacrificing a rare day off. And these caregivers helped dozens of old injured people every week, yet they each took this day off to honor the old soldier who now lay motionless beneath the American flag draped atop his casket, facing the heavens where maybe Private Ryan, there's a Freudian slip, Private Snyder was ready to greet him. Sergeant Howell, what took you so long? I'd like you to meet my friend, Sammy Davis Jr.